Well, we are live. Let's post this. Let's see if we can fix whatever the kick titles are before we start. It says my first stream, and it was, in fact, my second stream on Kick. It still probably says my first stream. Oh, it does. Sweet. Let's change that. Well, can we fix it on here? Settings. I don't know if we can. Huh. View your channel. Creator dashboard stream. Oh, this might work. Okay, here we go. Edit. No. Huh. Stream info. Okay, here we go. Addressing the issues. Alright. Save. Alright, it should have fixed itself now on Kick. View your channel. Okay, there we go. Kick is working. The post is on X. Let's see if we can jump right into it. It's probably the best move. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everyone is having a good day. Am I centered? Get my collar right. Here we go. So today is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. This is episode number 54 of Addressing the Issues. We're going to start off with a few updates, clarifications on yesterday's stories. Make sure this is on me. Okay, I should be focused now. Shout out autofocus. The bots are already here. Okay. Maybe Kick's a strange place. So correction on yesterday's story on the gunman dressed as a woman in Canada, the gun person as they call them. It was 6 students at the school that were deceased by this person, along with his mother, his stepbrother, and 27 others injured at the school, along with taking his own life at the end of this. And I will continue to call it a him, as it is a him. Not sorry. Swapped over to the mic. That's not good. I'm not sorry. It's a him. That's just the way it is. It's how God made him. But it was a him. It was a him. Don't believe the crazy propaganda. Another update. The Dow closed below 50K today at 49,594 points. So it sounds like Pam Bondi needs to go indict every single co-conspirator, pedo, and money launderer in the Epstein case. So I think that'll be good, you know. She was talking about it being over 50K yesterday as one of her deflections. Now, she has no deflection, I guess. It's time to go get the work, Pam. In our, I guess, minor story today, it's good news, actually. The U.S. House voted 218 to 213 on the Save America Act last night. One Democrat came across party lines for it. Huge surprise for probably everybody, but, you know, the more votes to have actual elections, actual friggin' fair elections, honest elections, every vote's good. But it's on to the Senate now, where there are at least still 5 Republican holdouts. These are Suzanne Collins of Maine, Tom, the COVID insider trader Tillis of North Carolina, Lisa Murkowski and Dan Sullivan of Ranked Choice Voting Alaska, and Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who the last time I heard him speak on the Senate floor was somehow less coherent than Joe Biden. All 5 of them, at least the majority of them, will need to come across to vote yes. That is, if we do get a talking filibuster with the current 60-vote cloture, there's no chance. There's no chance it'll pass. We'll need a standing filibuster. We'll need likely all 5 of them. I believe John Fetterman of Pennsylvania has came out in favor of it, so they might get a little bit of help. We might get a little bit of help as Americans who want honest elections. The only Democrat senator with a little bit of a head on his shoulders. But yeah, I mean, appreciate every vote you can get on that. It's something we need these days. Honestly, with all the election fraud and stuff, it's something that we should all be demanding. If one of your senators is on that list, I guess call them. I don't even know. Most of them probably won't pick up. They seem to be very disconnected from the average person. Try and give them a call. Try and tell them, yes, me as a constituent, I as a constituent want fair elections. I want elections that aren't stolen. I'm tired of it. That's my only solution. I mean, we've got to get at least, 3, 4 of them. I guess J.D. Vance can be the tie-breaking vote. I think he'd say yes to the SAVE Act. But yeah, just make sure you guys are calling your senators, asking them nicely, telling them that you as a constituent do want the SAVE Act. You do want honest elections. That's all. That's all we can do. But it does seem like these people are rather disconnected from their average voter, the people that put them in office. In some cases, or in most of these cases, time and time again. But yeah, give them a call. Tell them, I as a constituent want you to vote yes on the SAVE Act. I want honest elections. And maybe these people don't want honest elections. They benefit from having dishonest elections. I would argue that's what ranked choice voting is. But we've already went through the ranked choice voting. You never get who anybody wants. It's the milquetoast person in the middle that everybody thinks is the least bad. That's what ranked choice voting gets you in a primary. In our main story today, Tom Homan declared that the ICE surge operation in Minneapolis will conclude. This is nothing short of surrender to the radical left that has harassed, threatened, and attacked federal law enforcement. I mean, just say breaking the law is okay without saying breaking the law is okay at this point. I mean, that's all these people have been doing. And related to this, most of these stories are all related to immigration today, and in many cases, immigration in Minneapolis. Seamus Bruner testified under oath to Congress today that they have tracked $60 million, according to the latest 990 disclosures, to approximately 14 groups, some of them national, others on the ground. These are groups like the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, which provide the legal defense, as well as facilitate the training for some of these tactics that Senator Corn just described. This is a quote. A group named Democracy Forward, Take Action Minnesota, have gotten over $10 million US dollars from these large NGO networks, including the Neville Roy Singham Network, the Indivisible National Lawyers Guild, CTUL, which is the Centro de Trabajadores Unidos en la Lucha. Yes, it's in Spanish. The Council on American Islamic Relations, Minnesota, CARE, Minnesota 350, Voices for Racial Justice, on and on, like I said, over $60 million, just according to the latest 990 disclosures. So the line of questioning goes on. When Senator Hawley asked where this money was coming from, Seamus Butler said, "We've built a database that consists of hundreds of thousands of rows from grants from networks like the Soros Network, the Arabella Funding Network, as mentioned, the Neville Roy Singham Funding Network, many others, Tides, the Ford Foundation Network, the Rockefeller Funding Network, these massive NGOs that have billions of dollars to spend on all kinds of coordinated protest, or in this case, riot activity." How far the Ford Foundation has strayed. I used to be pretty cool way back in like the 1900s. Now it's this madness. This is, why we shouldn't have funded the National Endowment for Democracy. Remember when I was talking about Thomas Massie being the Mr. No on that vote? Because they included the funding for that. Well, this is what the National Endowment for Democracy gets you. This money goes from taxpayers to the National Endowment for Democracy, where it's distributed to these NGOs, such as the Tides Network, the Arabella Funding Network, for Rent-A-Riots all across the United States. These are the No Kings protests, the Black Lives Matter riots, the anti-Trump inauguration protests in 2017. These are the pro-Palestine protests on college campuses. These are the Portland protests. These are the Capitol Hill occupied protest, or CHOP, as many remember it by today. Everybody remembers the CHOP zone, where they had Antifa police that killed 2 people. And today, it's the anti-ICE riots. This is what we're funding for. This is what we paid taxes for. They pay Antifa to come and wreak havoc with taxpayers' dollars using the National Endowment for Democracy. These are people that want socialism, the Antifa. Where this funding's coming from, the Soros Foundation, which is international, the Neville Roy Singham Funding Network, believed by the House Commission of Ways and Means to be under joint operation by the Chinese Communist Party, the Arabella Funding Network, a Washington, D.C. based dark money operation, which is just 2 miles away from the National Endowment for Democracy. It's about a 15-minute trip there. I guess it's strategically placed. But I remember when Pam Bondi, Attorney General Pam Bondi, said she would investigate Antifa and all these organizations funding Rent-A-Riots across the United States, particularly those involved in Minneapolis. So I would ask, what happened? Did we get cold feet on Law and Order? Is that what happened? We got cold feet on stopping the funding of riots in the United States. Furthermore, today the Senate failed to invoke cloture on House Resolution 7147 that would fund Homeland Security for 2026. The vote was 52-47. They needed 60 votes to invoke cloture. This is why you need a standing filibuster, not a voting filibuster. Meaning another partial government shutdown looms. This bill provides appropriations for DHS for departmental management, intelligence, situational awareness, and oversight. In addition, the bill provides appropriations for security, endowment, and investigations, including U.S. Customs and Border Protection, U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, the Transportation Security Administration, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the U.S. Secret Service. The bill also provides appropriations for protection, preparedness, response, and recovery, including the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. And it also provides appropriations for research, development, training, and services, including the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, and the Science and Technology Directorate. And it also would set forth requirements and restrictions for using funds provided by this and other appropriations acts. So a few of these, United States Coast Guard, I think we all appreciate. I think they should have funding. I like, if you go to the beach and you stray out too far, they'll come pick you up. It will be a little fee, but at least they save your life. I don't see why they should be defunded. The Secret Service, I guess you can see why Democrats wouldn't want to fund that. I think that's just self-explanatory why they wouldn't want to fund that. CISA, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, I'm not too big on, but it should probably be funded. It just shouldn't be directed on U.S. citizens. But one that I see a big problem with, you may not like them, but they do perform a service that is useful to millions of Americans, is FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. And this is likely going to have long-term implications, if not past, coming into the imminent severe weather season of spring, which could begin as soon as tomorrow in Texas. So, yeah. I don't know why we're not funding this. I guess I do know. It's a political statement because of what has happened in Minneapolis. I guess what is being paid for by you to happen in Minneapolis. But I don't understand why people that will need, FEMA funding, their house gets hit by a tornado this spring, a hurricane this summer. I don't know why they should be punished by Congress. But, maybe it's just not about the constituents. It's about playing power games. And every day you learn more and more about how the government doesn't care about you. They just want your vote. They want your money. That's all it is. But on the bright side, another interconnected story, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison testified under oath today that him and his state will comply with final orders of removal. We'll find out if he sticks to this likely rather soon, especially with ICE backing down. I have my hunch that he lied to Congress today, but, only time will tell. Oh, I guess one more update update, clarification, correction, I guess it would be. Rand Paul of Kentucky was always on board. I had previously reported that he was not on board for the SAVE Act. That was in the earlier part of the show. He has claimed that, or he has clarified that he was always on board. So that was my fault. I should have done better research, but I did want to make that clarification. No need to call him. If you're in Kentucky, you better call Mitch. Money Mitch McConnell. But this whole ICE situation in Minneapolis, it all goes back to a December 26th video by Nick Shirley, a 23-year-old YouTuber. How crazy is that? But today we're seeing the consequences on everyday Americans from this fraud that's happened in the state. There are real victims, such as Janelle Hanson, who goes by Sky. She lives in Minneapolis. She's autistic and was evicted and has lived on the streets for 8 months now. This was while her Somali caregivers at Home Healthcare LLC, owned by Mohammed Jama, billed Sky's Medicaid $421 a day, or almost $12,000 a month for 12 hours of care a day, which she claims she only ever received 1 to 2 hours of care a day. So the real victims are people who needed care for 12 hours a day, like Sky, like Janelle Hanson, who has been evicted and thrown out onto the street for an entire winter because people like Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison either cannot or will not stop the fraud in their own state. So if you're mad at ICE for wanting to deport these people, why don't you just give me a break? Why don't we ensure we take care of disabled Americans in our community first? This would be by removing the people taking advantage of them, people that discard them on the street like an unwanted pet. You shouldn't treat your disabled like that. You shouldn't rack up $12,000 a month on them. And when it's time for you to pay their rent, you have them thrown out on the street for an entire winter just to fund your fraud ring, fund your buddies at home. It's evil. It's evil. It's terrible. Story makes me so mad. You can look it up. Her name is Janelle Hanson of Minneapolis. She goes by Sky. There's no way that she could have taken care of herself, yet she was thrown out to live in her car for an entire winter. Absolutely evil, absolutely terrible. It's a shame that this happens in America. But we're protecting the same people that are doing this to Americans that were born here that actually need this help. It's a shame. And, there's people like Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Jacob Frey that are completely fine with this, and they're quote unquote leaders in their community. I don't see them as leaders. I see them as fraudsters. Basically mobsters, honestly. They're honestly mobsters, the way they discard people. I mean, I think the Italian mafia would do a better job. The Gambino family could take better care. Honestly. But that's that. There are real victims, and it's not the Somalians. It's not the Antifa Rent-A-Rioters. These aren't the victims in Minneapolis. It's people like Sky, people like Janelle Hanson, who have been defrauded of her Medicaid, not taken care of, and discarded on the street through eviction from people like Mahmoud Jama. But I'm tired of hearing that these Rent-A-Rioters are the people that have been affected by this. They're paid to go out and do Rent-A-Riots by international foundations tied to the CCP, foundations that we actually pay for through the National Endowment of Democracy, which apparently our government can't stop funding for some reason. I mean, it's just this crazy, crazy cycle. And somehow I'm the one that foots the bill for it. I'm the one footing the bill so that Sky gets evicted and that we fund our tax dollars to these NGOs and Al-Qaeda-linked terror networks. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy this is where our taxes go to. But in, I guess, our last story, it's another update on the Iran saga. I guess everything's a saga these days because nothing's short. It just goes on and on and on. Trump claimed today that it will be very traumatic for Iran if they do not make a deal. Claims that Iran should make a deal, or should have made a deal the first time, but they got Midnight Hammer instead. Furthermore, in the meeting, he claims that he had a very good meeting yesterday with Bibi Netanyahu, who understands. That's what he says. He understands. Then Trump claimed that it's ultimately up to him and that the deal is a very good deal, a very fair deal with Iran, and that if they do not come to the table for the deal, it will be a very difficult time for them. Iran's press, state press, so it is Iran's press, currently believes that Israel is trying to sabotage the U.S.-Iran negotiations, which I don't completely disbelieve. I don't think he would come over here to say, take it easier on Iran. I think that's just far-fetched and unreasonable. But a second round of talks are expected soon if Iran is willing to make concessions, with what I expect are likely more concessions added by Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday. But hopefully we can come to a deal, and Iran is willing to make all these concessions. No ballistic missiles, no nuclear weapons. I think both of those are pretty, good ideas. Neither one of them would affect us in likely the short, the medium term. But I guess long term, if we're playing the 200-year game, it's a good idea. I don't think it's that pertinent for us that we need to go to war with them in the near future. But for some people it is. But that's where we sit right now with the Iran situation. Hopefully they'll come to some agreement. We'll be able to reach an agreement in the coming days as opposed to intervention in the coming days. I don't think anybody wants to see that. I think everybody in America is tired of long drawn-out wars in the Middle East, unless you're a war hawk, unless you're invested in Raytheon and Anduril. But if you're not a Northrop Grumman stockholder, I don't think it's really going to affect you. And if you are, maybe go war. But there are consequences. We've discussed them time and time again to war. And it's not going to make anything cheaper. I know we're worried about affordability. In the short term, it's not going to make anything cheaper. It won't make anything better. And we'll pay with American boys and girls. That will be the price that we do pay. But that's what we have for today. It seems the ICE saga in Minneapolis is winding down. It seems that we're never going to see actual investigations, actual indictments for these NGOs that are funding the Rent-A-Riots. But hopefully, we can get the SAVE Act through. Hopefully, they'll figure out something before this weekend to fund DHS, because there will be consequences for Americans. Let me see if I can fix this once more. There will be consequences for Americans come the time FEMA is defunded. Everybody remembers the last time, what is it? Transportation Security Administration was defunded. There will be consequences, so hopefully they will find some resolution in which these things can be funded before this weekend, before we do experience yet another partial government shutdown, which is probably very likely. It's probably very likely at this point we'll have another government shutdown. I don't want to see what happens if a hurricane comes through and FEMA isn't able to at least give people some funding. I know it's never enough, but at least it's something. It's not nothing, which is what it's looking like it's going to be right now. I don't know why it keeps doing this. Can you please focus on my face camera? Thank you. But yeah, and there are, actual victims to what's been happening in Minneapolis, and it's not the Rent-A-Rioters. It's just not. It's people like Janelle Hanson, who actually cannot care for herself and is being defrauded by these fake companies that are solely set up to defraud Medicaid, defraud the government, defraud the taxpayer. And hopefully, we can get it fixed. Hopefully, Attorney General Keith Ellison actually can man up and get something done. I'm not hopeful, but, he testified under oath. I guess they can hold him in contempt of Congress if he doesn't. Will they do that? Probably not. But that's where we're at right now. So I hope you will all drop a like, comment, share, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Kick, follow on Rumble. If you'd like to subscribe on Rumble, I would much appreciate it. It helps keep this show going. Helps me, keep doing this, keep spreading you guys. It's never any good news, but it's the truth. I guess there's something to be said for that. I do try and keep it rather honest with you guys. I don't mean the fearmonger too much. I really try not to. But I appreciate it if you guys would, subscribe 1 month, do it continuously. You can also make a donation if you'd like. Anything helps keep this show going. Share with somebody, a friend, a colleague. I can't believe my camera keeps doing this. It's making me mad. Share with somebody, family member, colleague, friend. I guess your dog, if you'd like to do that. Your dog should probably be kept in the loop these days. It only makes sense. Maybe. But no, I'd just appreciate if you guys would share. Like I always say, most importantly is your viewership. You guys sticking around till the end. So I appreciate that. That's all we have for today. I'm looking at Kick chats. I don't know. It looks like a whole bunch of bots. So, let's see. Rumble. Nothing there. YouTube. Nothing on YouTube today. I guess it's best that y'all focus on driving. Y'all are always coming home from work. That's the goal of why I do these at this time. Camera's defocusing again and focusing on the microphone. This is awesome. It's just awesome. No, I appreciate you guys stopping in. Hope you drop a like, subscribe, share. That's all I've got for you today. So I'll sign off here. We won't be live tomorrow. We won't be live Saturday. I'm going to be working. Gonna try and make rent. Gotta make rent. That's the goal right now. Gotta make rent. I want to have a house one day. That'd be cool. But yeah, I'll be live on Monday. That'll be our next live stream. Should be 4:45 Eastern Standard Time. Monday afternoon. So I'll see you guys then. I'll sign off here. Hope all you guys on the East Coast get home safe. To my people further west, I hope you finish up your workday strong and get home safe as well. Thank you guys for sticking around. Hope you'll drop a like. I'll see you guys very, very soon.